Here's a conversation I overheard at a coffee shop last week that perfectly captures modern insanity. Woman, probably 32, telling her friend, "I make more than most guys my age. I can fix my own car. I don't need anyone. Why can't I find a relationship?" Her friend responds, "Men are just intimidated by strong women." No, men aren't intimidated. They're confused why you're competing in a game they never asked you to play. Let me explain why modern women's obsession with competing with men is destroying their happiness, their relationships, and their fundamental understanding of how attraction actually works. The funniest part about this whole competition is that men don't even know it's happening. We're just living our lives, trying to build something, provide value, maybe attract a partner. Meanwhile, some women are treating every interaction like it's the Olympics of who needs who less. You got a promotion? Cool. You can change a tyre? Great. You make 6 figures? Good for you. But none of that makes you attractive to men the way you think it does. Let me share something that'll blow your mind. Men and women literally have different brain structures. This isn't opinion, it's neuroscience. Men have 6.5 times more grey matter in areas related to general intelligence. That's why we excel at single-task focus and sequential thinking. Women have 10 times more white matter, which connects brain regions. That's why they're better at multitasking and reading social situations. We're not the same. We're not supposed to be the same. And pretending we are is making everyone miserable. I had a client whose girlfriend constantly tried to one-up him. He'd mention work stress. She'd explain how her job was harder. He'd fix something around the house. She'd point out she could have done it herself. He'd plan a date. She'd plan a better one to show she didn't need him to provide experiences. After 2 years, he left. Not because she was successful, but because she made him feel useless. She competed herself right out of a relationship. The gender-specific strengths we evolved with aren't social constructs. They're survival adaptations. Men developed better spatial awareness because we hunted. Better pattern recognition because tracking prey required it. Better systematic thinking because building tools demanded it. Women developed superior emotional intelligence because managing social bonds kept the tribe together. Better communication skills because coordinating child rearing required it. Better intuition because reading micro-expressions could mean survival. These aren't weaknesses to overcome or gaps to close. They're complementary advantages that made our species successful. But now we have women trying to out-logic men and wondering why they're exhausted. We have women suppressing their natural empathy to seem tough and wondering why they're unhappy. You're competing against your own nature and calling it empowerment. The competition and social conditioning piece is where it gets really interesting. Watch boys play, they establish hierarchy quickly, compete directly, then become friends. Watch girls play, they form alliances, compete indirectly, maintain surface harmony. These patterns continue into adulthood. Men compete with men for resources and status. Women traditionally competed with women for the highest status men. But now, women are trying to compete with men for male-defined success while still competing with women for men. It's exhausting just watching it. A female executive I counselled admitted something fascinating. She said climbing the corporate ladder felt hollow because the men she beat didn't care about losing to her, and the men she wanted to date weren't impressed by her winning. She'd optimised for the wrong game. She had power but no influence, money but no mate, success but no satisfaction. The differing relationships to money reveal everything. For men, money is directly tied to identity, survival, mating success. A man without resources historically meant death, for him and his family. That pressure created male psychology around wealth, but women, they've always had alternative survival strategies. Beauty, social bonds, pair bonding with successful men. Money for women is nice, but not existentially necessary the same way. This is why a woman bragging about her salary to a man lands differently than she expects. He's not intimidated, he's confused. It's like a fish bragging to a bird about how well it can fly. Cool, but that's not what makes you attractive as a fish. Men don't select partners based on earning potential, because we're not wired to. We're attracted to femininity, youth, beauty, kindness, support, not your 401k balance. The distinct expressions of power between genders are completely different games. Male power is hierarchical. Clear command structures, defined territories, measurable achievements. Female power is networked. Influence through relationships, control through social dynamics, Power through collective action. When women try to compete in male power structures using female strategies, they fail. When they adopt male strategies, they succeed but sacrifice their feminine essence. I watched this play out in a tech startup. The female co-founder tried to lead like the male co-founder. Direct, aggressive, hierarchical. The team respected him for it but resented her for the exact same behaviour. Not fair, maybe, but reality doesn't care about fair. She eventually succeeded by switching to a collaborative leadership style that leveraged her natural strengths. Revolutionary idea: work with your nature, not against it. The evolutionary context matters more than people want to admit. For 200,000 years, men who didn't compete died. Women who competed with men died. Women who competed with women for high-status men thrived. Men who provided resources thrived. These aren't social constructs. They're survival patterns encoded in our DNA. 50 years of feminism doesn't override 200,000 years of evolution. The consequences of cross-gender competition are everywhere. Women entering male-dominated fields often report feeling exhausted, unfulfilled, isolated. Not because of discrimination, but because they're playing a game that doesn't resonate with their core drives. The woman who spends her 20s and 30s competing in corporate hierarchies then wonders at 38 why she's single and childless. She optimized for male goals and sacrificed female ones. A client's ex-wife perfectly embodied this. Law degree, six-figure job, competed with him on everything. She'd literally say, "Anything you can do, I can do better," unironically. But at 35, her biological clock started screaming. Suddenly she wanted traditional things: marriage, babies, a provider. But she'd spent 15 years signaling she didn't need those things. The men who wanted traditional wives had chosen traditional women. The men who liked independent women didn't want marriage. She'd competed herself into a corner. The impact on relationships is devastating. When you view your partner as competition, you can't also view them as support. When you're trying to prove you don't need them, you can't also appreciate them. When every interaction is about establishing dominance, there's no room for vulnerability, intimacy, or love. Men are simple creatures. We want to feel needed, useful, appreciated. When a woman constantly demonstrates she doesn't need us, we believe her and leave. Not because we're intimidated, but because we want to be where we're wanted. If you can do everything yourself, great, do it yourself. We'll find someone who values what we bring to the table. The sexual dynamics piece is where the competition gets really delusional. Some women now brag about high body counts like they're competing with male sexuality. I can be as sexual as men! Okay, but male and female sexuality aren't the same. A key that opens many locks is valuable. A lock that opens for any key is broken. This isn't a moral judgment, it's market reality. Men who sleep around gain status. Women who do lose value in the marriage market. Fair? No. Real? Absolutely. I counselled a woman who couldn't understand why men would sleep with her but not date her. She had adopted male sexual strategies. Multiple partners, no emotional attachment, treating sex as conquest. But men don't value that in long-term partners. She was competing in a game where winning meant losing. The more she won at casual sex, the more she lost in relationship value. The societal double standards exist because men and women are different. We can pretend they're unfair social constructs, or we can acknowledge they reflect biological realities. Men can father children at 70. Women's fertility crashes after 35. Men's value typically increases with resources accumulated over time. Women's conventional attractiveness typically decreases with age. These aren't opinions, they're observable patterns. Here's what's actually hilarious about this whole competition. Men find it adorable when women try to compete with them in masculine domains. It's like watching a kitten try to roar. We're not threatened, we're amused. The woman at the gym trying to outlift men? Cute. The woman trying to drink men under the table? Entertaining. The woman trying to be more logical than men? Endearing. We're not intimidated. We're confused why you're trying so hard to be something you're not. The humour in recognising differences should bring us together, not drive us apart. Men and women are hilariously different. We think differently, prioritise differently, communicate differently. That's not a bug, it's a feature. The differences create attraction, enable specialisation, make relationships interesting. When everyone's the same, nobody's special. I remember watching my friend's girlfriend try to prove she could do everything he could. She changed her own oil, took 3 hours, made a mess, stripped a bolt. He could have done it in 20 minutes. She assembled furniture. Wrong, had to be redone. She tried to fix the TV, made it worse. Not because she's inferior, but because these weren't her strengths. Meanwhile, she could navigate social situations that left him baffled, remember every birthday and anniversary, and create a home environment that actually felt welcoming. The complement, not competition model is what actually works. You want a successful relationship? Stop competing and start complementing. He's good at some things, you're good at others. Together you're stronger than either alone. This isn't surrender, it's strategy. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Traditional relationships worked for millennia because they acknowledged these differences. Men provided and protected, women nurtured and managed the home. Both roles were valued, both were necessary. Now we have women trying to do both while men are told they're not needed for either. Result? Everyone's confused and nobody's happy and the birth rate is crashing. The modern confusion comes from telling women they should want what men want. Career success, financial independence, sexual freedom. These are male priorities because they lead to male mating success. Female mating success comes from different sources: beauty, youth, fertility, kindness. A woman with a PhD isn't more attractive than one without. A woman CEO isn't more desirable than a teacher. Male achievements don't generate female attractiveness. I see successful women constantly frustrated that their achievements don't translate to romantic success. They've been lied to. They were told being like men would attract men, but men don't want to date themselves. We want someone different, someone complementary, someone feminine. Your MBA doesn't make you more attractive. Your femininity does. The hierarchical thinking difference is crucial. Men understand hierarchy instinctively. We know where we rank, who's above us, who's below. We compete to rise, accept when we lose, respect those who win. Women trying to operate in these hierarchies using consensus building and emotional appeals get frustrated. The hierarchy doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about results. A female client complained her male colleagues didn't respect her input in meetings. I asked how she presented ideas. She said she suggested, offered, wondered if maybe they could consider possibly trying something. Her male colleagues stated, declared, asserted. She was using female communication in a male domain. When she learned to adapt her style contextually, her influence increased. The network power women naturally possess is incredibly valuable. In the right contexts, women's ability to build and maintain social networks, create emotional bonds, influence through relationships, these are superpowers. But trying to use network power in hierarchical structures is like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Wrong tool for the job. The providing instinct in men isn't toxic masculinity, it's core masculinity. We're wired to provide. It gives us purpose, identity, meaning. When women compete to show they don't need provision, they're removing our primary way of showing love. Then they wonder why men seem disconnected, unmotivated, uninterested. You've eliminated our role, then complained we're not playing it. A man needs to feel needed. Not in a pathological way, but in a fundamental way. When his woman demonstrates repeatedly that she doesn't need him, he starts looking for someone who does. This isn't ego, it's evolutionary psychology. Men who provided for women who didn't need them didn't reproduce. Men who provided for women who did need them did. Natural selection is undefeated. The collaboration model beats competition every time. The most successful couples I see don't compete. They collaborate. He handles certain domains, she handles others. They play to their strengths, cover each other's weaknesses. They're a team, not rivals. They're building something together, not trying to prove who needs who less. The biological clock reality check hits competitive women hard. They spend 20 years competing with men in education and career. By 35, they've won. Great job, nice apartment, financial independence. But their fertility window is closing. Quality men their age are married or dating younger, and suddenly all that competition seems pointless. You competed for the wrong prize. I've seen this pattern hundreds of times. Woman focuses on career through her 20s and 30s, wakes up at 38 wanting family, discovers fertile men her age want younger women, gets angry at men for having preferences while having spent decades selecting for men based on her preferences. The irony is completely lost on her. The male confusion about this competition is genuine. We literally don't understand what you're trying to prove. You made partner at the law firm. Cool, but are you pleasant to be around? You bought your own house? Great, but are you supportive? You don't need a man? Okay, then why are you complaining about not having one? The attraction asymmetry is real. Men are attracted to beauty, youth, femininity. Women are attracted to strength, status, resources. These aren't social constructs, they're cross-cultural universals. A woman gaining status doesn't become more attractive to men the way a man gaining status becomes more attractive to women. Different games, different prizes. The empathy advantage women have is extraordinary. Women's ability to read emotions, understand social dynamics, provide emotional support, these are superpowers men largely lack. But instead of leveraging these advantages, many women suppress them to seem strong. You're abandoning your natural advantages to compete in areas where you have natural disadvantages. It's strategic suicide. A relationship needs polarity to create attraction. Masculine and feminine, dominant and submissive, leader and follower, however you want to frame it. When both people are competing to be the same thing, there's no polarity, no attraction, no passion. Just two people trying to prove they don't need each other while wondering why they're not happy. The nurturer role women naturally excel at isn't lesser, it's essential. Creating life, raising children, building emotional bonds, maintaining social networks, these aren't consolation prizes for women who can't compete with men. They're fundamental to human survival and flourishing. But we've convinced women these natural strengths are somehow shameful. The exhaustion epidemic among competitive women is real. Trying to maintain masculine frame in professional settings all day, then switch to feminine energy for dating is exhausting. Being in constant competition mode burns you out. Fighting your nature every day is draining. This isn't sustainable, and the mental health statistics for career women prove it. The solution isn't going backward, it's going forward with wisdom. Women should have opportunities, choices, freedom. But they should also understand that choosing to compete with men in masculine domains has costs. You can have a career, but understand it might cost you family. You can be independent, but understand it might cost you relationships. You can compete with men, but understand men don't find competitors attractive. The specialization model works in every other area of life. In business, we specialize. In sports, we have positions. In medicine, we have specialties. But in relationships, we're told everyone should do everything equally. That's not efficient, effective, or enjoyable. Play to your strengths. Let your partner play to theirs. The feminine power that comes from not competing is immense. A woman who's confident in her femininity, who doesn't need to prove she can do what men do, who values her natural strengths, she's incredibly powerful. She doesn't need to compete because she's not playing the same game. She's playing a game men can't even enter, let alone win. I dated someone briefly who understood this perfectly. She was brilliant, successful, capable. But around me, she was feminine, supportive, soft. She could run a board meeting in the morning and be nurturing at night. She didn't compete with me. She complemented me. She didn't need to prove she was my equal. She knew she was my counterpart. Different, but essential. The generational damage this competition causes is severe. Young girls growing up watching their mothers compete with and resent men internalize that dynamic. Young boys growing up being told they're toxic for having male traits become passive. Nobody wins when we're all trying to be the same thing. The dating market reality is harsh but clear. Men with resources date down in age and achievement. Women with achievements want to date up in resources and status. This creates a mismatch where successful women can't find men they're attracted to, and successful men date younger women who haven't spent decades competing with them. The happiness gap between competitive career women and traditional women is documented. Traditional women report higher life satisfaction, better relationships, less anxiety. This isn't propaganda, it's data. Women who embrace their feminine nature rather than competing with men are happier. But we can't say this because it contradicts the narrative. The male response to competition from women isn't what women think. We don't feel threatened. We feel unnecessary. We don't feel intimidated. We feel unwanted. We don't feel challenged. We feel replaced. And when men feel unnecessary, unwanted, and replaced, we go where we're valued. Usually to younger women who haven't been taught to compete with us. The wisdom of complementarity is ancient. Every successful civilization understood that men and women are different. and that these differences should be leveraged, not eliminated. We're living through an experiment in denying these differences, and the results are catastrophic: plummeting birth rates, relationship dysfunction, mass unhappiness. The freedom to choose should include the freedom to choose traditional roles without shame. A woman who wants to be a wife and mother shouldn't be shamed for not wanting to compete in the corporate world. A woman who finds fulfillment in supporting her husband's ambitions shouldn't be called a traitor to her gender. The partnership model beats competition every time. You want a successful relationship? Stop competing and start partnering. He's not your rival, he's your teammate. You're not trying to beat him, you're trying to build with him. You're not proving you don't need him, you're showing why you chose him. The masculine burden men carry is real. We're expected to provide, protect, perform, and now also apologize for wanting to do these things. We're told our instincts are toxic while simultaneously being expected to maintain them. We're competing with women who don't want to win while being blamed for not letting them. The feminine gifts women bring are irreplaceable. Emotional intelligence, intuition, nurturing, beauty, social cohesion. These aren't secondary characteristics. They're primary human needs that men can't provide at the same level. When women abandon these to compete in masculine domains, everyone loses. The truth about competition is that it's a masculine frame. Competition is how men relate to the world. Cooperation is how women traditionally related to the world. When women adopt competitive frameworks, they're already playing a male game by male rules. You've already lost by agreeing to compete. The resentment building between genders is tragic. Women resent men for not appreciating their achievements. Men resent women for not appreciating their provision. Women feel unsupported. Men feel unneeded. Everyone's competing, nobody's connecting, and loneliness is epidemic. The return to balance doesn't mean return to oppression. It means acknowledging that men and women are different, that these differences are valuable, and that trying to eliminate them creates dysfunction. It means allowing people to play to their strengths without shame. The investment in competition pays negative returns. Every year a woman spends competing with men is a year not spent developing feminist attractions that actually generate romantic success. Every promotion that requires becoming more masculine is a step away from what makes relationships work. The clarity that comes from accepting differences is liberating. You don't have to prove you can do everything. You don't have to compete in every arena. You can be excellent at what you're naturally good at and let others be excellent at what they're naturally good at. This isn't limitation, it's optimization. The modern tragedy is that we've convinced women that being feminine is losing, that needing a man is weakness, that appreciating masculine provision is betrayal. We've created a generation of women competing for prizes they don't actually want while sacrificing goals they actually value. Here's the bottom line: stop competing with men. We're not your competition, we're your complement. We're designed to work together, not against each other. The skills you have that we lack are just as valuable as the skills we have that you lack. That's the whole point. Together, we're complete. The men who matter don't care about your career achievements. We care about how you make us feel. Do you make us feel needed, appreciated, valued? Or do you make us feel like we're in constant competition for who matters more? One builds relationships, the other destroys them. The future belongs to people who understand complementarity. While everyone else is competing themselves into misery, those who understand that men and women are different and that these differences or advantages will build happy relationships, healthy families, and fulfilling lives. I want to hear from you. Have you experienced this competition dynamic? Have you watched women compete themselves out of relationships? Have you seen the exhaustion that comes from fighting nature? Drop your observations in the comments. Let's have an honest conversation about what happens when we deny biological reality in favor of ideological fantasy. Because reality always wins, whether we acknowledge it or not.